Hello everyone, today we're taking a look at the RadioMaster GX12. This is a new radio from RadioMaster. You may be familiar with that brand. One of the primary standout features of this radio is that it has the Gemini Express LRS transmitters inside, which is kind of dual crossband sort of. Well, think of it as the next step in reliability and flexibility with Express LRS receivers. Of course, to get that, you have to match a Gemini transmitter with a Gemini receiver, but do know that you don't have to run an Express LRS Gemini on your quad in order to use this particular radio or any radio that's running the Gemini. Of course, it comes with HTX, as most radios do these days, and that's a good thing. This one has got a few, you might say, tricks or hidden gems behind it. But we'll take a look at that as we get into it. As I normally do, we'll start with what it comes with, which is kind of a, call it a firm case. I wouldn't call it a hard case, but it's a firm case, which does have a strap to hold the radio as well as a zip-up pocket for your accessories or whatnot. It does come with a screen protector, 2 extra traditional switches, comes with some additional lower tension springs that you can use to make your gimbals a little bit looser, as well as these little plug fillers and a hex driver. And these 2 additional accessories to where you can change out the switches or switch types depending upon the configuration that you're looking to have. Do note the screws to replace those are right up top here. It does come with a USB-C cable because it does do charging as well as connect to your computer for SIM use through one port right up top. Comes with a manual, 1 sheet of stickers. Of course, it comes with a battery tray, but you don't get batteries. So despite the fact that I have RadioMaster batteries in here, there are 18650s, or you can use a 2S goggle battery, which will fit back here as well. 2S, it connects with the balance lead right here. Going around the horn, we have 3 position switches on each side here. We have these turn dials. We have additional 3 position switches up top, and then we have momentary or yeah, I think they're momentary. Kind of felt like the one was over here was sticking. We also have momentary buttons right down here, as well as additional buttons down the front. We have our trims, and then we have some turn dials down here, and then we have our menu buttons that we use. And we have our system or model button over here. Around back here is where we have our nano bay, so you could connect another micro transmitter right here, but it's going to need to be the nano, which is very short. The other size, which is much bigger, I believe we call that micro, if I remember correctly. We can also see quite a bit of venting, some right here. This right here is actually metal. You can actually feel the sharp edges. Some more venting right up here on each side of the screen. That kind of looks like venting, but that's for speaker. And the tricks, well, for one, you have the flexibility of changing out these pieces. If you want to maybe have buttons here and move things around or just add something, you have a little bit of configuration flexibility there. Maybe you want to take this out and put a switch in. Don't forget, they give you those 2 extra switches and these plugs if you just want to take stuff out. So that's kind of one trick or secret. And because it's dual band, it's got 2 antennas, and they fold up right underneath the screen, just like that. They did add holes in the back, so you could actually detach those with the UFO connection that's inside to run SMA connectors if you wanted to connect some other sorts of antennas. Another trick or secret is that this one has foldable arms, and you just pull them up and you fold them over. That's not so unusual, but we haven't seen that from RadioMaster before. At least I can't remember seeing it before. The stick ends that it comes with do separate so that you can adjust the height of your stick ends as we normally might by just screwing that one up and then putting that one back down. I think there might be some set screws. Nope, I don't actually see any set screws. Let's turn it on and take a look at everything. Look at all those blue lights.
Switch warning.
Switch warning, who cares? So as I'm looking through my camera screen, this is kind of rolling. You don't see that normally, at least when I look at it, I don't see it. This does have CNC gimbal, 1000 hertz gimbals in here, and I have loosened those up already. These screws right here on the top and bottom, they adjust your travel. So if you want a shorter throw, you can screw those screws down so it'll shorten up the travel distance. But to make the other tension adjustments, you do have to kind of get under the hood here a little bit. But before we get to that, of course, we can see the lights, and these, of course, light up in different colors. I suspect we can program those through EdgeTX or something like that if we want to. This isn't a tutorial about EdgeTX. This is about the hardware itself. The rubber grips remove right here off the back, and you can see that's where we get to our spring tension adjustments. Obviously, on this side, it's upside down, but we have our 2 holes where we can adjust the tension for our springs. That's where I went through. And of course, right here, you don't really see it. We don't have to open the shell, but I did open the shell. We have to get a little tool in here. Hopefully you can see that on camera to get this little rubber flap. So in mode 2, so throttle is on this side. In mode 2, in order to loosen up the throttle or to make it more stiff, we need access to the ratchet screw, the little piece of metal that comes down and has all that grease on it in the backside of the gimbal. Because not only do the springs control the tension, but on the throttle side, we also have that ratchet bar that also controls that. So we get access to it there. You may or may not be able to see it through that hole, but I can see it. I did take it apart and took some pictures of it, and I don't have the education or knowledge or experience in order to be able to walk through breaking down the components that make up this and whether it's a good design or bad design, but I did want to make sure I at least gave you the opportunity that if you do have that knowledge, that you can look around and poke in a closer look and the internal components as far as this back off view. Hopefully one of my counterparts like Ian over at Mads Tech will break this down and go through those components that piece by piece for those that are interested in that level of detail. Down here at the bottom, we do have these 2 screw holes, and you can see some brass fittings inside of there to be able to take screws on. I'm not certain what you would use those for, but they're available for, I suspect, DIY projects, something you may 3D print and need to secure to the bottom of the radio. Maybe there's other accessories that I just don't use and have never used in RC that might go to something like this, but I thought that was something that I needed to call out for those that might need such a thing. So my scale doesn't go up high enough to actually weigh this thing, but according to RadioMaster and their printed spec, it weighs 537 grams. And it does feel like a solid radio, something that out of the box I didn't expect, but I was surprised at how hefty it felt. For reference, I typically use the RadioMaster Zorro with the CNC AG01 gimbals in it, which I very much like. This is the Pyro Drone Edition, and I do keep a goggle battery in here because this poor radio, while it's my favorite and daily driver, its battery life is pretty short unless you add something on here. So I always keep a goggle battery, an old goggle battery, attached to my radio. And now that I've shown you that radio, I think the first question that people are going to have are these as smooth as the CNC gimbals in my Zorro, the AG01s? And I'm hesitant to say anything because it's really hard for me to tell a difference, but there's got to be a difference because maybe it could be just the spring tension. I think I have these just about the same, but when I swap back and forth between these when I was doing some flying, and unfortunately I don't have any stick cam for you in this particular video of me flying with it, I just felt like they were so similar that I couldn't really tell. They feel very smooth, so they don't feel plasticky. They're not plasticky. They don't feel as though they lack precision. I believe these are full-sized gimbals, whereas these are not full-sized gimbals. So that might be something that is of interest. And this actually felt really good in the hand because RadioMaster still makes this cuppage back here, which kind of resembles this sort of gamepad style feel, at least on the back side. It doesn't have the angle that I need. See how it angles in? This is very square. This is somewhere between the traditional design and the Boxer. I would say this is, maybe I should rephrase that. This is more below the Boxer, but above the Pocket, maybe, is a closer reference. The Pocket is closer in size, I think, to the Zorro than to this, but this comes in between those two sizes. But this is also, I think, a much more premium radio from its feature set, the number of switches and buttons that it has, as well as the Gemini Express LRS dual transmission that we have available to us within this particular radio. So one of the questions I think it's going to come up, and I don't think it actually matters, especially with the people that didn't know I use the Zorro on a regular basis, is am I switching? And that really shouldn't matter because whether I switch or not doesn't necessarily tell you whether this radio is any good or if it's for you. Because unfortunately, with something like this that goes in our hands that we really don't look at, we might use for binding and stuff like that, but something that goes in our hands, kind of have to know ourselves on whether this is going to fit. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I like the Zorro so much is because of this shape. You know, I'm not a straight up and down body style guy, and when I have to get my elbows in tight because the radio's square, so it's straight up and down, I've got to get my elbows in because I sit to fly, as well as I just kind of let this rest in my lap so it goes down around my midsection. This angle that they have in feels very comfortable. But in the hand, this did make me think this might be something I want to transition to, and I'm not ready to commit to that. But when I got it out of the box, the look and the feel, when I actually started using it, the gimbals, again, I couldn't hardly tell the difference between the two. I suppose maybe I could if a blind test, and we'd have to do it a bunch of different times, but I'm just one guy in his basement. I don't really have the ability to do a blind test. The screen size is a little bit smaller than it is on the Zorro, so that's going to consume less battery, which for long time use or long sessions, that's a good thing. We've got lots of buttons and configurability if you want to make the buttons light up a different color, so you can dive into that, or at least according to the manual you can dive into that. You know, that's got to be all within Edge TX. Sorry, I'm jiggling my camera there. But if you are interested in this radio, there'll be a link down in the video description. That will be to RadioMaster, because they're the only ones offering this one out of the gate or as launch. But as other companies come along that have this radio, I will, if I remember, I will link them down below as well. But if you're interested in me putting together a stick cam of me actually using this, which I kind of phrased as though I'd never used it, but I've used it, but I didn't use it with the quad I could show you in this video. And I also was thinking it was a little bit bulky to be outside in a coat and a stick cam hanging from my chest and doing this, well, because I was flying a quad outside. Something I didn't think about was just do the stick cam inside. Which it just, I'm having a senior moment or something here. It didn't occur to me to try that out. But if you're interested in that, just let me know down in the comment section. If there's a pretty good amount of interest of watching a stick cam of me using this particular radio, I could probably put that together over the next coming weeks. But I think it's probably a premium radio, maybe not as premium as some that RadioMaster has launched, but it has a lot of features that I think will be attractive to some folks. You know, for me, the whole Gemini factor is not a huge factor because I don't fly far out. ExpressLRS works so well, and I fly in little spaces. I fly fairly nearby. I basically fly till I can't hear the quad, and I don't do any long range stuff. So if you're wanting to see, you know, how far can it go, ExpressLRS without Gemini has been tested out to what, 33 kilometers? I know the video's been pulled down because of legal reasons, but Gemini will just kind of amp up those situations. This is just my opinion, where you're in a tough control link environment and you need that reliability, whether it's for professional reasons or just for your own sensibilities, that you want that extra bit of reliability over ExpressLRS, because ExpressLRS already works very well. And it has been tested on previous iterations to go way out there. Like I said, the video's down. At least last I remember, it was down. And if you're asking me to do that testing, unfortunately, I won't be doing that. It's not legally advisable to be doing such a thing. But I do think this is a radio that many of you will be interested in. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise about the RadioMaster GX12 Gemini ExpressLRS receiver transmitter radio thingy, sorry, please let me know down in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. And thanks for watching.